world? What up, world? It's your boy, the one and only, because I made it up, the one and only nonprofit sector connector. I know I'm the nonprofit sector connector because I decided that I was going to be the nonprofit sector connector, and now it's on my business card, man. So that's just the way it is. This show is called Philanthropy and Focus. It's a dream, man. It's a dream. It's a vision that I had. I'll tell you, I woke up this morning, I was listening to something on YouTube about manifesting things. And I remember going around telling people this show was going to happen, this show called Philanthropy and Focus. It had a title, it had an idea, it even had a host, your boy. And then what happened? It didn't start for like 2 years. It's because I was just going around talking about it, right? So I see my friend Kazz, my guest today, I see him nodding his head. Gang, if you want to do that thing, whatever that thing is, lean in, try it. It's probably not going to work out as exactly as expected. In fact, it might be better than you expected. Just do the thing. And then you figure it out, right? You got something to work with. It's I think in life, most of us are just kind of wet cement anyway, man. We're just kind of figuring some things out and trying to figure out what we're going to be, the impact we're going to make in the world. And this is this opportunity, this platform, Philanthropy and Focus, where each week I bring a leader of a nonprofit organization on to help them tell their story and amplify their message. That's part of my impact. It's part of what I'm doing in the world. And I don't know how long the internet's going to be around, but I think this show will be here as long as the internet's going to be around. I don't know. I don't know, Kaz. So I like someday there might be like this dystopian situation where the internet's gone and then nobody will be able to see. Where is everybody? What happened? Well, as long as there's an internet, you'll still be able to find this show. And I think the podcast platform is just a really cool opportunity. We do this show a little differently. It's always an interview. It's not me just ranting, although trust me, I could fill hours of just ranting about stuff, but I'll get on the soapbox later today. I want to say hello to my friend, Kazz Alexander. Kazz, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Tommy. Happy Friday. Happy to be here with you.
Happy Friday to you, man. Happy Pride, right? That's what we're here to talk about. And we're going to get into that. NYC Pride. We're going to talk about all that stuff. Right? Couple things, couple of shout outs I have to make. I feel compelled, and I don't know if it'll set a theme for what we're talking about, but I feel compelled to bring up a discussion I had last week with four executive directors of nonprofit out at the Viscardi Center out here in Long Island. I interviewed these four. So if you were tuning in last week, you might have realized, hey, I feel like I heard the show a week ago, because you did, because I replayed a show, because I was interviewing Dr. Larry Grubler from TSINY, Transitional Services of New York, Yolanda Romano Gross from an organization called Options for Community Living, Jeff McQueen from the Mental Health Association in Nassau County, and Gene Butler from Encourage Kids Foundation. And a lot of what we were talking about was mental health and the conversation around the stigma of things. And I led that meeting by a quote that I attribute it to Robin Williams, because that's what the internet told me. But everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always. And if I could set that out there as an intention for folks to think about, it's like, man, if we could just greet people with love, compassion, consideration in every interaction, or at least as many as we can manage to reach people that way, man, I think it'd be a happier place. I think we'd be better connected, better related as a race of humans. But that's just, maybe that's too much utopia for some people. But I say, in the little world you all live in, whoever you're going to interact with today, meet them with love. I love hugging people, man. Meet them with a hug if that's cool, but ask first. Make sure everybody's down with a hug. Not everybody wants a hug, but I always say, "Hey, are we hugging?" That's what I do, Kaz. Hey, are we hugging, man? So Kaz, I have a bunch of information about you to read. I do want to just there's one other quick shout out I want to do. A couple of years ago. It was how we connected. I joined a cohort for the Institute for Nonprofit Practice, and I knew going into that work that I was going to meet a lot of great people, and I knew I was going to learn some things too. But what was really came out of it for me was I know I'm going to make great relationships, meet really cool people, have these relationships that will last a long time. I think of Michael Partis, I think of Maheen Kaleem, I think a lot of the folks, I think of my friend Brant Lingle, who was in that coursework, and I don't even think, Kaz, you and I ever connected like in a little cohort or anything, but like I reached out to a few people after the fact. I said, we should connect, we should keep in touch. Brant Lingle's become a friend. He's involved with I don't know if you knew Brant, but Brant runs,
Uh-huh.
he does a lot of work with us with the networking group, TNG. He's living down in Virginia right now. So it's just funny how things happen. So I knew I would learn things when I went to that coursework, but it was a year long. It was 9 months. It was a school year, but I knew what would be most important would be the relationships. And when you call yourself the nonprofit sector connector, relationships is where it's at. That's what I'm focused on. So I appreciate you coming on the show. You've been on the show months and months, probably years ago at this point with Hit the Books, which is an organization you founded. But this game is pretty easy. I'm the game show host. You're the contestant. This is how it goes. Look, I want to hear about you. I want to hear about, the work you're doing, in community generally, specifically in the community as it relates to NYC Pride. And then we're going to talk about the organization. It is June 14th, 2024 as we do this. I think I asked you for this interview back in like February.
Mhm.
Because we were like, where can we kind of slot my show into your busy schedule and the incredible work you're doing? So as co-chair of NYC Pride, right, you're here representing the organization. And I want to hear from you, sir, though. Tell me about your background. What brought you to nonprofit? Why is this work you do? You got the Ramapo organization. Let's just dive in to your background. Look, I will read a little bit. I'll read a little bit.
No, it's funny because you're bringing up all the good stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah. So here's let me drop this on them real quick. So BA in history and a master's degree in education from UVA, University of Virginia, right? Postgraduate certificates from Fordham University in executive education, Baruch College, nonprofit management, and NYU diversity and inclusion. You organize, or rather you're leading Hit the Books and TeachableNYC, chief program officer at BCNY, director of several nonprofits. Like, what's funny, man? I always love it because people go, hey man, I look at your like LinkedIn profile, Tommy Dean. It looks like you got like 9 jobs. Like, how do you do it all, man? I go, you just do. You just do it, man. Like, not they say you need something done, give it to a busy person. Maybe. I just think we segment the things, and sometimes when I'm doing one job, I'm doing 3 at the same time because it's community, bro, right? It's all interaction and it's all related and connected. Why, sir, did you decide that you wanted to spend your time in the social services, in the nonprofit world? Why was that important to you?
That's a great question. And again, thanks for having me on
Absolutely.
this morning, Tommy. You're dropping a lot of gems, so I'm gonna try and pick some of them up on the way. But I think a long time ago, I decided that I wanted to do something impactful with my career. And I know, folks go to great lengths to become educated in the field of their choice, to learn a specific craft or industry. And I did all of that. But what spoke to me at a very young age was giving back to young people. So I consider myself an educator. I've always been a teacher, whether that be in the classroom, in the boardroom. So the work that I do is above across the board. It's educating, it's teaching, it's working in community. So I decided to forego a huge salary at a very young age. So I say this at the top of most of my workshops and classes. I've never had any job outside of teaching. I worked in a traditional office for one day. You know what I did that day, Tommy?
Quit, I guess.
I quit. I quit on the first day. I was like, I can't work in this cubicle. Get out of here.
Oh man, cubicles are killer, man. It's funny, like I've always been in sales and I have worked for large companies, but I always said the only job I could do would be in the sales profession because like I don't know, there's something about those not ultraviolet, but those lights, like those
Fluorescent.
fluorescent, thank you. I said
Yeah.
ultraviolet. I like ultraviolet lights. I don't like fluorescent lights. So, but there's something to go in those I can't do it, man. It's like where the soul goes to disappear, I think. I think that's
Well, I mean, there's some folks that thrive in those conditions, right? There's some folks that like the maybe process or orientation
sure.
around operations, and I think everyone just needs to find the place that they're successful. I think that's something that Gen Z got right.
Yeah, no
Right now,
kidding.
that they're like,
Yeah.
where do I want to be successful? And I think I tapped into that. Luckily, I have really supportive family and parents who, my mom especially, who's also a teacher, who was like, find the place where you best fit. And I did that really early. So, started my first job in the nonprofit sector when I was 15,
Is that right?
working with young people. Yeah, I was a kindergarten classroom assistant at Brooklyn College Camp Cub. I'll never forget. I was 15 years old. Um,
Wow.
so that's the first job that I had, and I've only ever worked in the nonprofit sector, mostly with young people, and as an educator for this is my 26th year in the field of education and nonprofit. So I agree with you. The idea of um, finding yourself in your work is foundational, but then from there, people are like, oh, you have a lot of different work that you do, but it's all connected, and it has come from networking. So I'm a practitioner of that as well. So everything from my work as a director of community centers and working in nonprofits. I've probably been to at least 75, if not 100 different nonprofits in the tri-state area, doing workshops, doing coaching over the last decade. I've learned the ropes, but I also put in the time. So I've done all of the jobs
Yeah.
as well. And if folks have worked with me in the past, hello, but you know that I'm very hands-on. And so that carries itself into the work that I do now. So if it's been at, Ramapo for Children, or at the Boys Club of New York, or at any of the other organizations that I've partnered with over the years as a nonprofit professional, working with young people, it's been one stepping stone after another. So my work with New York City Pride is connected and really doesn't feel that different from the past.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool because first of all, thank you for everything you're doing and all the work you do because I believe the children are our future. Who knew he was gonna sing? He knew. I knew. Tommy D knew I was gonna sing. But that's the thing, man. Like my wife and I are raising 4 children. They happen to be our 4 children. I don't know why I said it that way, but we're raising our 4 children. And one day at a time. Sounds like the fact that I don't drink anymore is one day at a time. The fact that I'm raising children is one day at a time. We're just trying to get through the day, man. But the fact that they are the future of this country, of this planet, of this world, is that we need to give these young people what they need and kind of give them a glimpse and the empowerment. I don't know why this is coming up for me. Shout out to my friend Renee Daniel Flagler from Girls Inc. of Long Island. Helping young ladies and girls become strong, smart, and bold. Gotta love Girls Inc. And a national. I was speaking to somebody at the Alameda chapter last week of Girls Inc. And they have 4 chapters up in Canada, but the rest of the chapters are in the States here. But I just think we have to continue to be working with these young people. I want to ask you this now. I mean, first of all, shout out the fact that to you, 75 to 100 different nonprofits. Love it, man. That's what it's about. It's about the collaboration. I sit on the board of, or the committee rather, for the Long Island Imagine Awards and the New York City Imagine Awards. Ken Serini and his team, Kellyanne Serini, over at Serini and Associates, they founded this organization, and we recognize the great work nonprofits are doing. I want you to be with me in October as my guest to come through at the New York City Imagine Awards. I'll get you the date. We'll talk about it later on. But it's so important. Like as I was looking at your website this morning, the website for NYC Pride, I saw Matthew Chang on there who sent me an email or like a LinkedIn message. Shout out, Matt, if you're listening. I knew him from it used to be called the New York Nonprofit New York, but it used to be called the Nonprofit Coordinating Committee, I think is so to me, it's all about those relationships. It's about the collaboration. So 75 to 100 different nonprofits, you're talking about workshops and things like that. Obviously, you're coming in from an education perspective. As I read some of your bio here, diversity and inclusion, nonprofit management, things like that. When you're doing these workshops, Kazz, let's get into it a little bit. Talk to me about some of those workshops on a general basis, that as it may relate to TeachableNYC or different things like that.
Oh, absolutely. So I started a nonprofit by myself called Hit the Books, along with our wonderful board in 2020. And that is sort of a height of my career and working, as I mentioned, for about 20 years at that point in the nonprofit sector. So it was the culmination of doing a lot of boots to the ground work. But throughout all of that, I was always thinking to myself, how can I help support other organizations, right? So Hit the Books being a brick and mortar, real place that you can go to on 127th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue in Manhattan, a place where young people go to grow and learn and play and learn mixed martial arts, but also study. It's a real place, but putting together a place like that requires a lot of work. So years ago, I always had this dream of starting my own consulting business and helping to support other nonprofits, and that's part of what I did simultaneously. So from 2018 until now, I've been doing workshops and training and coaching, and specifically doing so to support nonprofits that are maybe struggling to find their footing if it comes to funding or their organizational structure or leadership. It might be training line staff and those who are working directly with young folks. It might be helping to put together a strategic plan. So With Teachable NYC, that's the work that I do as a professional consultant day to day now. I'm really fortunate, super grateful that I have this opportunity to connect with. I probably have about 40 organizations that I work with right now in New York and New York City that rely on the support that we provide so that they can be sustainable for young people and for the folks that the families that utilize their services and for the folks that work there. So really proud of that work. And like I said, it's the culmination of a lot of years of just like hands in service. I have had so many dirty, ketchup stained, pencil and marker stained shirts. My hands are usually covered in ink. So I know what it's like to be in the classroom, to be a teacher, but I also know what it's like to try and put that kind of place together, that real life place. So I'm just honored to be able to do that work for a living.
Yeah, man, congrats on that. I mean, listen, there's a story about Jim Carrey. It's like I guess it's not a meme. It's a little video that he talks about his dad, who was funnier, he says, by Jim Carrey's definition, funnier than Jim Carrey is. And his dad wanted to be a comedian and a performer, but he had a family and he decided to be an accountant. So he went that route and became an accountant and worked very hard, a dozen years, 15 years, and then was downsized and lost his job as an accountant. And Jim Carrey's punchline to this, if it's a joke or the story really is, you can get fired from doing something you hate. Why not go out and do something you love, man? Like, like if it's about the money, I'm always arguing like, dude, you could figure out different things, and you can get paid if you're bringing value. It's all about value. It's just a transfer of value. And I was listening to something last night, and it was, see, maybe I could find it before we end the show, but it was just about how it's the transfer of value. That's why people get compensation for things. If you add value, you'll get compensation, gang. So I'm speaking to everybody as I'm speaking to me, because I have a whole idea about a bunch of consultancy that I want to do. And it's like,
oh, let's talk about it, Tommy.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to chop it up, you and me, for sure. When we get together, man. Not in June. You're super busy. Well, I'll speak to you in July. I'll see you in July. I do want to come through. I do want to come through to some events, which we'll get into in a couple minutes. We do have to go to a break. We're way over. Logan, we'll take a break in a second. I'm just finishing up a couple thoughts. So we're gonna, when we come back, though, we're gonna get more into your background, and we're gonna get into NYC Pride. I want to hear about the organization, the work, this history of the organization, things like that. But you mentioned this piece about hands in service, and what I was hearing you say was just that people have pulled you up. Right, people have brought you through, and now, excuse me, now you're doing just the same for others. But the fact that you're working with 40 some odd nonprofits, man. We founded something called the Nonprofit Resource Hub, which I don't think you and I ever talked about. My friend Ken Serini, who founded the Imagine Awards, he works with 300 different nonprofit organizations. He owns an accounting practice out here in Long Island, like 80 or 100 employee accounting firm. We're just getting warmed up, Kazz. I mean, we know each other a couple of years, but we don't spend time together. You've been on a show a couple of times, some text messages and whatnot, but because gang, I tell you this, as great as I am so special, right? And I got this great personality, and I used to have great hair, but I shaved my head, right? It's all gone. I had like a ponytail not too long ago, this is the new deal. What I want to tell you though, with all that, and I speak tongue in cheek, gang, I am the biggest Tommy D fan, but the thing about it is this, as great as I might be, it's all about my social capital. It's all about my relationships. It's all about the people I know and the people who don't even know that I'll know next week, So I'd encourage you all to do the same. I'm going to be doing a lot of speaking on networking and things like that for the sector. So we are going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into a little bit more about Kazz's story, and then certainly get right into NYC Pride. Sounds good, Kazz?
Awesome. Thanks, Tommy.
All right, right back.
All right.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
And we are back. We're back. Your boy, the one and only nonprofit sector connector. Although I do call myself the one and only, but here's the thing about that: a lot of my friends are becoming nonprofit sector connectors. It's like I'm on a recruiting mission for nonprofit sector connectors, but it's not. You know what it is, man? Like I have these friends. Shout out to Kellyanne Serini. Shout out to Heather Edwards, who are constantly looking out. Shout out to Eileen Minogue over at Book Fairs, Heather Edwards, Allied Foundation, Kellyanne Serini, the Imagine Awards, and Serini and Associates. You know, for me, it's awesome to be connected and in community with people who are continuing to say, hey, Tommy D, I see what you're doing. I want to do that. I want to make sure we get this sector better off. And, you know, I joke about it with my friends. Like if it wasn't for the people I'm connected to, a lot of folks don't come on this show because I can reach out to somebody and say, hey, listen, you know what? A guest just had a reschedule. And somebody would be like, Tommy D, you got to interview this person. You got to interview this person. A couple of weeks ago, it was Mama's House that came on, which is, shelters out here on Long Island for moms and their babies. And it's like, I didn't even know these two women. And it's a 40-year-old organization. And now they've been on the show, and now we're friends. And now we're talking about doing some collaboration. In fact, my friend Jennifer Moniz from the Meditation Lab is now going to do a mindfulness and meditation program for the women at Mama's House. That all happens because Heather Edwards says, Tommy D, I got you. Interview Mama's House. So it's just how it goes, you know. So Kazz, I could spend days talking about networking, the importance of it, the value of it. Maybe you and I will get into it a little bit about that because I do want to understand at some point, you know, the relationship as, you know, you're a board member of the organization, right? So I want to understand the dynamic of that. Anything else you want to put a bow on, so to speak, about you and your background before we jump into NYC Pride and what you guys are working on?
Sure. I think everything that you mentioned so far this morning is absolutely connected to the work that I do. And I think for me, at least, the key word is connection, right? Like you were mentioning manifesting who it is that you want to be and the work that you want to do. And I think that that's something that has at least at this juncture in my life has happened for me. So I'm really, really excited to do the work because there was no script. Although I like to think that there was, and you just put, as you said, one foot in front of the other. But you know, you have to recognize that you're both carving a path, leaving a path, and also leaving footprints behind you. So people are able to follow you, even if you're doing something that is different and new. I know that my career was definitely not mapped out. I think I was supposed to either be, funny thing you said, a game show host. I was probably supposed to be a game show host or an architect. Like those are the things that I should have probably happened.
Dude, what a show. What a show. You and I host a game show together, bro. Let's figure that out, man.
This is very tables turning for me because I'm like, wait, I'm not hosting the show.
Dude, you know how many times, Kazz, you know how many times I'm in a meeting and I start running the meeting and I go, oh, this isn't even my meeting. I gotta remind myself. You know that move?
Yeah, I can't help myself. But luckily they asked me to do it. So that's the sweet spot for me now. But it's sort of manifesting the things that are I think true to you. So that's definitely happened to me in my career. And so, you know, moving from working with young people, I still work with young people. They just happen to be volunteers and employees and also, you know, other volunteers of other age ranges, my own age range, some folks that are older and are more seasoned and have been around for many, many decades. Like, you know, the work shifts and changes over time, but there's really, the one thing I loved about the nonprofit sector is that there's really no script. You can carve your own path, and a lot of folks, try to carve the business path that they see in corporate America in the nonprofit sector, but it doesn't really translate, and it doesn't have to translate. So, doing volunteer work, doing board level work at an organization like NYC Pride, as I mentioned, feels very familiar to me because I'm a board member on other organizations that I've worked for, and maybe the mission is different, but my mission is the same.
Yo, that's it, man. That's what you hit upon. That's great because, I'll just use it from my perspective. I'm Tommy D no matter where I go. And Tommy D's like become like a thing. It's it's like a brand. But like you get this. This is the show. Like this is not anybody who knows me knows this is the guy. That's what he does. And it's funny because wherever I am, whether I'm sitting on a board or I'm on a committee for a gala or I'm selling employee benefits, which is our business, you're still getting this. This is what you get. And I think that's what your point is. Your mission never changes. Wherever Kazz is, that's Kazz. Like I'm bringing the whole thing. You're going to get it all, right? And again, all of us, whatever is appropriate, maybe we're not going to act certain ways or whatever, but, still authenticity is what it's at, where it's at, right?
I agree. I think that's the really key point. And the leverage that we have in the nonprofit sector is that you can bring your authentic self to work. Like sometimes the rules are a little loose. So I throw my voice all the time. I'm characters, and joking around and imitating life a little bit more than I would in, maybe the corporate sector or in places where I have done, workshops or trainings that feel a little bit more static and rote and don't feel good to me. It doesn't feel authentic to me. So, I think two things. One, you're able to bring your authentic self in the nonprofit sector, which I love. And so that makes the work a lot easier. But also for me, one thing I've learned, my brand, I'm no Tommy D, but I got a strong brand too. And I think that's something that people recognize. So you being able to leverage that in the age of social media. I actually do a workshop on personal branding as well in the nonprofit sector. So, it is a thing, whether you are connecting, in person and networking, or you're connecting online and using tools and platforms like LinkedIn. There are ways that people recognize you, and we see who's looking at who. So I think that personal branding piece is really important, and that's something I've definitely leveraged. So I said I work on several nonprofit boards. And do different functions and roles. Obviously NYC Pride being the largest and most major and sometimes most cumbersome. But it is connected to my personal mission, and I think that resonates with people, and people see that. So for the folks that are listening, watching, around and thinking around personal branding, like, don't sell yourself short. I think you do have to pump yourself up a bit so that people recognize that you are who you say you are. Your mission is important, and there is a level of alignment that needs to happen in order for you to do your best work. I think that's where people struggle in the nonprofit sector. It's not that they don't mean well or that they're not good at their jobs. I think sometimes they're just not in the right place. And that's what I say all the time. It's like, you're actually not in the right organization. You might be in the right part of the sector, whether that be, education or, climate awareness, or, the environment, or health or housing, but you might just not be at the right organization that supports who you are and your authentic self. So for me, it's been really important to find organizations like NYC Pride that have been supportive of me as a whole person, in my entire humanness. That's been really key in terms of my success, and in the moments where I don't feel connected to the mission of an organization or to the people or the culture, that's when I know it's no dice for me. And that makes the work so much easier. Like, we don't speak the same language, and I can't learn every language. Like, we don't have time. So you got to be on the right page, same page. There's sometimes where it's worth learning some things, but after a certain point in time, you should know enough about yourself in the work and in the world that you're able to find places that speak to you, and you're able to do your best work. You feel safe, you feel healthy, you want to go to work every day, you want to accomplish the next goal, and you want to do it with that team. I think that's an important part, but your brand is really critical in order for you to get there.
100%. Great stuff, Kaz. I mean, listen, personal brand is critical, gang. You know, everybody has a personal brand. Not everybody's going to be flashy and get on and do radio show, whatever, but you have something, and that is who you are. And there's a lot of what you said. I was hearing this word humanity. There's just a humane way of dealing with people in that, like, maybe this ain't the right place for you. I forget who it is. It might be Elon Musk or something like that, but it's one big business leader, right? And this is no comment on if you like Elon, everybody. If you don't like Elon, it's not the point. The point of the story is he's like, if you're firing or terminating or letting somebody go, it could be the best thing. I've been fired. I'm a sales guy my whole life, right? So trust me, you know, what we do professionally is very cut and dry. You're either bringing the number and you're worth more than we're paying you, or you're not. And that's very easy, very cut and dry. Not every professional's like that. So I've been let go from companies. And I think in terms of, you know, it doesn't have to be like the worst thing in the world. It could be like, maybe you weren't supposed to be here anyway. Like you're supposed to be on a different part of your path. You know, you say carving out this path. So you probably, what do you say?
I think it's also generational, right? Like I said, that's one thing that I think that Gen Z and maybe Gen Alpha, that's next. Like
I think that's my kids. I think my kids are out.
I think they got this lesson early. Like, they're like, wait, if it don't fit for me, then I don't need to stay. And, you know, maybe our parents' generation were like, this isn't great, but, you know, my pension and insurance and my family, and I'm gonna weather this, even though it's not the best thing for me.
Dude, I've done it. I've done it. I've done it personally. I stayed in places longer than I should have stayed because of all the stuff you're talking about, a salary and a bonus and benefits and all this kind of stuff. And it's
but what does that do for you in the long run? What does that do for your own health, your own mental health? You know, so as we try to, you know, figure out how to best find the right workplace for us, we have to think about like whether or not these workplaces support our humanity. Some people are built for warehouses. Some people are built for cubicles. Some people are built for classrooms. Some people are built for walking the beat. There's nothing wrong with any of those things.
100%.
It's just like,
find your way.
Are you in the right place?
100%. And find it where you plug in. As the earlier you can find it, the better. We got to
put me in any classroom. I'm good. Like
that's your spot. That's your flow. You can be there for 12 hours in a row. It don't matter because you're in your zone. That's it. He's in his space. You don't even know what just happened. He's been there 7 hours. So I want to just make one quick comment. It's funny how life is because you talk, you know, gang, whatever you're doing right now, if you're listening to my show when you're 13 or you're 71 or you're 52, it don't mean you have to be doing that in 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. It does. Like I was at my parents' house. I picked up my dad on Sunday morning. We went out and scooped Italian ices for an organization called Operation Vest. Shout out to my dad. We got to go. I said, we got to get you out to see one of these organizations and what this nonprofit is doing. It's called Operation Vest, Veterans Ending Suicide Together. And I said, Dad, I want you to see, I've been scooping these Italian ices. My dad owns Rouse Ices out here on Long Island, Kazz. And I said, I got to get you to see the work you're doing because I go out and scoop these ices, but you don't see it. So I pick them up. We go out. We come back. I'm dropping off at the house. My mother is watching that show on, it's called like CBS This Morning on Sunday mornings. It's the show, right? And she's like, yes, exactly. I love that show. It's like reading a magazine, but you don't have to read it.
Jane Pauley, classic.
Yes, you know the show, right?
I'm of age.
I love it. I love that show. So what my mom happens to be watching it, and she says, hey, and she says to my dad, she says this to my dad. My dad's like 73, something like that. She goes, dude, we're just getting started. Now, she didn't say these words, but she's like, we're going to be like octogenarians. We got a lot of stuff to do still in this world. And I'm like, yeah. Like I think of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, who says that stuff all the time. Like, whatever, you're 40, you're 50, you say, who cares? Next chapter, what's next? My point is, we got to go to break, but my point is this, I'm fired up. Dude, if you're not doing it now, try it out. Find the new thing. Don't just stay somewhere for the dough and the benefits. I understand what I'm saying is challenging, but build the other thing while you're there. You know what? Like, not quitting, not quiet quitting, but like give them what is theirs, right? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give them what is theirs. Give them the effort, right? While you're there, and then get the heck out and do your thing as soon as possible. Right, Kazz? Like that's like a mic drop.
Do it every time.
And do it. We'll be right back. Kazz, we're way over time. We're gonna get in trouble. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Ta-da! Ta-da! We're back in the attic. All right, your boy, the nonprofit sector connector. Look, I just want to say, Kazz, thanks for being here. This is awesome, man. Like I'm fired up. Your energy is incredible. I'm just so jazzed. Again, if I didn't take that course and I didn't go to the Institute for Nonprofit Practice, there's a dozen people that I have a relationship with that I would not know. And now I'll even be, let's get a little bit quantum on you all. It's not a dozen people. It's a dozen networks. It's a dozen communities of people that I would never, I reached out to Maheen Kaleem about a month and a half ago to speak on a panel for the Nonprofit Resource Hub. Maheen and I don't talk a lot. I love her. She loves me. We're friends, but we don't talk all the time. That's not what happens. That's life, right? But I said, I want you. She goes, whatever, Tommy D, sounds great. Let's do it. And that's relationships. That's connections. That's just building and building and building. Kazz, this organization. So the name of the show we did with today's show is from Stonewall to Pride, right? So let's talk about this. So it says here in my notes, our movement started with a moment. The roots of the movement began with the Stonewall uprising in 1969. 1 year later was the first NYC Pride March organized by the Christopher Street Liberation Day Committee, and so on. There's more notes, but this is you and me having a conversation. So tell me about this organization, please.
Absolutely. So Heritage of Pride, also known as NYC Pride, is the organization that puts together the largest Pride March, as well as several other events throughout New York City in June. So we really are, I think, the hallmark organization that helps to support LGBTQIA plus causes in the New York City area. And I'm really proud to be a volunteer for this organization, as well as co-chair. So I am in my 9th month. I can give you the day if you want, because volunteer work is hard work, but we are a small but forceful organization that's been around for a really long time. So I've probably been around as a volunteer for about 5 years. And as I just mentioned, in my first year as co-chair, because of I think the opportunity that the organization has afforded me in terms of leadership. So, a wonderful place to grow and learn, but also to be, I think, working with a group of veteran volunteers who've been around, some for 15, 20, 30, 40 years of this organization. So we're actually celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. Heritage of Pride is, and we're also celebrating, as you just mentioned, the 55th anniversary of the Stonewall uprising, which sort of started it all. So it's wonderful to be a part of an organization that helps to put together something so massive that you kind of can't wrap your head around it. If you are a native New Yorker like myself, then you know that every June it seems that the entire town, city, borough, wherever you might be, your neighborhood turns rainbow. It doesn't do so by accident. There's a lot of planning that goes into all of the events that you see, especially our hallmark events, which happened the last week of June. So just really excited to bring that to my hometown. And, folks don't always recognize that New York is a town. It is a city. It is a mecca, but it is also a place that has a lot of history and that leverages its culture in very unique ways. So, people look at New York as, again, the apex of where folks can come to be themselves. I grew up here. So I grew up in a place where everybody can be themselves. And that level of liberation is something that I think that everyone should be afforded as a citizen of the United States, of the globe. So, people come here for their freedom and have been doing so in many different ways. So we are connected in that way, right? In the same way that many immigrants come to New York City for their freedom, in the same way that folks around the country might flee from their homes, or folks who do not accept them as they are, they come here to be liberated. So I love that we are able to, I think, put a stamp on that idea every year as New Yorkers, although our volunteers come from all over the country, and we welcome new volunteers in every year. I'm just really honored that I get to lead that charge on behalf of New York City Pride and on behalf of Heritage of Pride. And so, we can get into like the events, and I'm sure everybody has seen it. We're at mid-June already. So
I know we're in it. So there's already events have happened, events is upcoming for sure. I just, from a social commentary, I'm 46 years old. Okay. So I was born in 1978, and I realized, that companies, so if we I don't want to get into a whole corporate social responsibility thing, and we can, but I don't know if we have the time. That's why I'm worried about it. But so I'm just going to say something that was on my mind when I was driving this morning, and I remember a bunch of years ago where I noticed, I'm just going to call out the specific bank because they all do this now, but it was TD Bank at the time, and it had to be June because this is why it was relevant, and all of a sudden it was either a rainbow with their logo or something like that. Now, I gotta say, there was time in history where that wasn't going on, where companies were doing that. Right. I mean, do you have some sort of in your mind, like a timeline where we as a society really saw that change? Because you said the whole, not your words, but we paint the town rainbow, but like that's
who's doing it?
Well, no, but I mean, like, it happened. There was a point where that was like, there was a Monday where that wasn't happening, and on Tuesday, right, people were embracing things.
Well, I think that, I can't give an exact date or time, but we have to recognize that at some point in time in the recent history, we have reached a critical mass where people understand that queer liberation is just like any other liberty. It is any other right, and that some people have it and that other people don't. So I don't know what day that was. Right. I have been passed over for a job because I'm gay. So I know that. Yeah. Even
in your lifetime. How old? Do you mind if I ask?
In my lifetime.
Like, are we?
I am 1 year. I will be 1 year younger than you next week.
All right. So you get it. So
45 next week.
You're 45 next. So
in June, my month.
This is your month.
So I get very passionate about this because in my lifetime, and it's happening today. It's not, I'm just saying it's happened to me, but it's happened to many others, where connecting back to what we're talking about with regard to workplace authenticity, where you're not allowed to be yourself. If that comes down to your sexual orientation, your gender identity, your gender expression, and those are the things that we are all should be granted as inalienable rights. So, like, New York City has changed maybe in some ways faster than others because of what I was mentioning earlier, but we have to recognize that, one, we are, I think, the hallmark for this type of liberation, but two, when you're in the first place, if this is first place, then there's a lot of work to do for those places that are still working. So, people are going to come here from all over the country, all over the world, to see an example of what it could be like, but we know that we're not perfect, right? And we know that we still have a lot of work to do. So the fact that city agencies, that the government, by and large, does show support for LGBTQIA causes in this month is a good thing, but that doesn't mean that they can't do better or that they can't do more throughout the rest of the year and for every part of our community that is marginalized. So that's one thing. The second thing is that corporations have a responsibility to reflect the employment, the employees that are working there, as well as the folks that they serve. So that's the change, right? Is that people want to see themselves. And in the same way that commercials look like me, I'm Black. in case y'all can't see me. If the commercial doesn't look like me or my family, if it doesn't resonate, if they don't sound like me, if they don't dress like me, if they don't have style like me, then we're missing something, right? And so I know that what television and media, what I hear in radio and online looks different from when I was young. And that is a greater reflection of what the world actually looks like. So there is a level of responsibility that all sectors have, nonprofit, corporate. So I don't mind, personally, I don't mind that the bank is, TD Bank, who's been one of our sponsors and works with us, is demonstrating their efficacy with regard to moving queer rights in the right direction. I don't mind in the same way that I obviously wouldn't mind banks and corporations talking about their DEI policies. Of course, there's pushback. So we can get into all of that. We don't have to, but
you know what? I don't.
Of that change, you see it. You see that change happening in front of you. But for folks that are like, oh, corporations should stay out of it. If corporations are not a part of it, then we are missing a huge part of who we are. We can't ask for rights as humans and leave work out of it. We all go to work.
Of course, it's such. No, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. My question to you was just like, it wasn't that way, and then it was that way, and that's an exciting thing. I think so. Look, here's the argument I would make. Corporations are made up of a bunch of people. That's what a corporation is. It's yes, maybe it's a legal filing. There's a document somewhere. You have a corporate book. No, but it's people, right? People run businesses. People run corporations. People run nonprofit organizations. We are going to come back on another show, and we're going to talk corporate social responsibility, you and I, because you have so much knowledge in this sector in nonprofit. I think that, to your point, like anything else, we are all a work in progress. The companies are a work in progress. The sector is a work in progress, and it's how do we continue to improve. So we're going to go to a quick break. We come back. I'm going to share the website while we go to break. The website is nycpride.org, nycpride.org. It's just like great pictures, people thrilled, people excited. I'll share it with you all right now when we go to break. But I have been to the march, the parade many, many years ago, but I think, Kazz, maybe I got to come in this year if we can work out.
Come through. I'll be excited to see. Let's go.
I would love to see it. We got to work that out.
Bring the whole family.
You know what? Again, raising kids, and my kids get it. I don't, not 100%, but our younger people are getting it. Different than you and I got it, man. They understand it, right? So I don't want to say we're old, but we're older. So all right, we'll take a quick break. We come back. I want you to fire off what's going on, what the events are, how people plug in, how they come out, and then also how they come out to the events.
Safely. We'll talk.
And then how we can help out and who can get plugged into the organization. So we'll be right back. Quick break.
Thank you.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on TalkRadio.NYC at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on TalkRadio.NYC.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on TalkRadio.NYC, I host the program Philanthropy and Phocus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on TalkRadio.NYC.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on TalkRadio.NYC.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
All right, that's right. We're back. So Kazz Alexander is here representing NYC Pride and all the other incredible work he's involved with. If you're just getting here now, we'll go back and listen to the beginning of the show so you can hear the story. So listen, Kazz, all these events that I'm showing right now that are on the website, NYC Pride, are these all, I don't know how to say this, are these all NYC Pride event? Are they community events that have kind of been able to put their information on the site? Like, what does that look like?
So we have a combination of sort of in-house events that are produced by NYC Pride, as well as sponsored and partner events with all of our partners. As you can see, I'm from Queens, so shout out to the New York Mets.
I was just going to say, so I'm a Met fan too, and I didn't know I was at Pride Night until I got there last year. We had tickets, so it becomes very apparent that it's Pride Night when you get there.
Great night to come, right?
Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
So yeah, we have partner events all over the city, all over the month. So I love that you're scrolling through the website, as well as our main event. So sort of for sake of time, I'll run through those because you can always go on our website, as Tommy mentioned, nycpride.org, to run through all of the events that are happening all over the city throughout the month. So we are really grateful to all of our partners, organizations, restaurants, bars that are supporting the queer liberation movement across the board. So you can find out more information. But upcoming, what you have right there is actually our next event, which is the Road to Pride Bar Crawl, which is in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So our Road to Pride Bar Crawl events have been an opportunity for us to fundraise and really keep Pride free. That's one of the most important pieces of what we want to share this year. So already we've had a few bar crawls, as you can see, on May 18th and June 1st. Next one coming up on June 22nd takes us to Brooklyn. And again, join us. This is a sort of traditional bar crawl with a little bit of queer flair, with partner bars in the Williamsburg area of Brooklyn, which leads us to one of our marquee events, which is called Tease, an opportunity for queer folks to come out and be themselves, and that's also on June 22nd in Brooklyn. So please come to our events, bring your authentic self. As we mentioned, this is a place to feel free and wear the clothes you like, wear the makeup you like, do your hair.
Just do you, man. I mean,
bring your friends and don't feel like you can't, because there are still many folks who feel like they can't. So that's one of the things that I love. I was actually at the door of Tees last year, and I can see, young adults coming in wearing the thing that they wanted to wear probably all year, and they finally have the support and feel safe and the courage to do so. So, all of our events are meant to bring us to that point. And so that's our next set of events on June 22nd. And after that, I'm really proud to share, as an educator, as someone who's worked with youth and young people for my entire career, at the South Street Seaport, which everybody knows, is familiar with, on June 29th. We have our Youth Pride event. So Youth Pride is going to take place in Manhattan, again, South Street Seaport, June 29th in the afternoon. An exciting place for families and young people ages 13 to 24 to be themselves in a safe environment. And for many folks, this is their first Pride. So, you think about how the maybe streets turn rainbow everywhere, and that could feel very daunting to a young person. But Pier 16, Pier 17 is specifically designed for young people to come out with their families, with their friends, and celebrate their authenticity. So inviting young queer people, allies, all of the friends, junior high school, college, really, really important for us to have a safe place for them to gather. And then, of course, on June 30th, our big events. So what everybody is most familiar with, our Pride Fest, street festival, which you have there, our LGBTQIA plus street fair starting at 11 a.m. In previous years, this has been like the largest street festival in the country. So out on the street, over by Union Square, Astor Place area in Manhattan. So folks are very familiar with Greenwich Village area. So come on down. It is totally free. And again, when you are helping us to fundraise, we're doing a lot of fundraising at all of these events. We want to keep Pride free, so that young people and any generation of people have an opportunity to express themselves and come to free events. So Pride Fest has a bunch of different components. And at the same time will be our heralded march. So there you see on June 30th, beginning at 21st Street and 5th Avenue, we are actually taking off for hours and hours of fun on our march and parade route. We like to say that this is not just a party. This is a protest, and we want to remember the foundation and the roots of Stonewall and what we're here for, and that we are in the quest for queer liberation for everyone.
Not just party, Kazz. I want to interrupt you because
absolutely
not just party, but protest, right?
Absolutely.
Because we haven't cracked the code on this thing yet, obviously, right? I mean, so we must continue to have this dialogue and sure. And I having been to the parade and certainly seen the parade, the march. And that's the difference. I'm calling it the parade, but and I noticed this morning. Words have meaning. It's a march, not a parade, right?
Right. We call it a march because we can have a parade when everybody is liberated, when everybody is free.
When we're celebrating.
We're still marching for the same rights that other folks have, right? So we don't want to miss that. So I invite folks out to again be themselves, but to also be in a quest for liberation, right? If that means protest to you, then feel free. This is an opportunity for you to do so on June 30th. The world is imperfect. So if there are parts of what is happening right now around mental health awareness or around trans rights or around queer rights in general, around rights for Black people or brown people, the world over, feel free. Again, this is an opportunity to have your voice heard. So we invite people to our march on June 30th. And one other event we have, which is our legendary traditional women's event, which is obviously open to anybody. That's called Bliss Days on June 30th at the DL, downtown Manhattan. So really excited to be able to bring folks together. So this is for LGBTQIA plus women, formerly known as Femme Fatale, and they are fatale. Let me tell you, I am probably most excited about Bliss Days. And so feel free to come out. Tickets are on sale for this particular event. Starts at 2 p.m. On June 30th. So again, a safe space for everyone. And if you're interested in any of the other events that we have many, many different events that you can find on our website, nycpride.org, and all of those partner events. So, the town is going to be, red, yellow, blue, green, black, brown, purple, whether you like it or not. So I say get in where you fit in.
Yeah, no kidding. Enjoy the ride, man. What are we talking about, right? We gotta go in a minute, but I just want to make it's so funny how the universe works because we stream this on like 9 different platforms. We stream this on Twitch, and I hadn't heard from somebody on Twitch, this particular individual, in a while. Cerebral Wind used to check in a lot. I think one time was playing Tetris. Cerebral Wind was playing Tetris and listening to Philanthropy and Focus at the same time. So shout out to you, Cerebral. I was thinking of you. I hadn't heard from you in a while, but Logan just put this in the chat. Cerebral says Happy Pride. I almost said I don't even know Cerebral. I'm just going to refer to you as Cerebral Wind because I don't know much about
it. To do.
I'm
just got names for a reason,
right? I 100%. Cerebral. Thank you for that, Kazz. I appreciate that. Cerebral Wind, Happy Pride. Look, everybody, get involved, make an impact. NYCPride.org is the website. Tons of events coming up, as Kazz and I talked about. Kazz, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you being part of, helping me live out my dream, my mission, the impact I'm trying to make. And thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me. Everybody, please do go to nycpride.org. If you'd like to volunteer, we're happy to have you. If you'd like to donate, feel free to donate on our donations page to keep Pride free. And if you want your company, team, club, organization, school to help sponsor, you can also click on our Patrons of Pride link, which is at the top toolbar, to help donate and sponsor this year as well. So, many different ways to fundraise. Come to an event, buy a ticket, come to the bar crawl, come to Bliss Days, protest, party, June is going to be popping, and it's my birthday, Tommy.
And it's your birthday. It's your birthday month. Listen,
They give me all the fireworks.
guys, my brother, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody being here. We got to go. Steve Fry's coming up, the SMB guy, always Friday. Make it a great day, gang. Love you all. See you. Peace.
Thanks, Tommy.
Thanks.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his